Meta now on a record-breaking streak, rising. If you're an owner of this stock, you got to be happy. It's been rising for 15 straight sessions. We're sitting at $721. Paul Meeks joins us, Harvest Portfolio Management CIO. Can you explain what's happening here, sir?
Sure. I think the catalyst was their quarter, and it was not the results that they necessarily reported or even guided to for the next period, but the aspiration that Mark Zuckerberg shared that they want to be not just the American, but the world standard for AI open source models. And if we indeed go in that direction and they execute, the fact that they already have 3 or 4 billion people on their apps at least once a month puts them in the driver's seat, and it could be a really explosive opportunity. There's that. I would say that's the 80% of the 80-20 rule. The 20 is probably the monetization, which we'll see accelerate this year in Reels. And there's some interest in what happens with TikTok, of course, and I don't know what's going to happen there in the end. But if TikTok is restricted in the United States in some way, form, or fashion, obviously very positive for Meta.
Paul, so let's just talk, though, about multiples here, about sort of floors, ceilings. $721, is it priced to perfection?
No, I don't think so. The multiple is relatively high over its history. And this year is going to actually be a slower growth year, at least on the top line with their increased investment. But I think over time, stock that's trading in the high 20s PE on next year's earnings, the S&P low 20s. For this opportunity with Lambda, the open source AI model, it could be explosive to the upside. So here's what I would do. I'll undoubtedly have fresh money cash, new clients coming in today. They're a blank sheet of paper. I'll buy it from my existing accounts that have had the stock for years. I just continue to roll with the tide.
Right. Paul, walk us through the economics of Llama. Llama, of course, being their version, if you will, of ChatGPT, except that it's open source and it's free, and therefore it's less clear about how the economics, if you will, work, at least standalone, right? They're using it internally on Facebook, on Instagram, I imagine somehow in WhatsApp at some point. But in terms of what it does long term, unless you think what it really does is just undermine the value proposition of all of its competitors.
Excellent question. First of all, we don't know, and it would be speculation on my point, but we do know that in the past, this is the MO for Facebook. What they do is they introduce a product, they tinker with the product, they seek to get to 1 billion subscribers, and when they do that, they monetize it. And I think that's in the cards. And so I like the opportunity. So to answer your question directly, we have to get the users, then we focus to the monetization bit, and I think they will.
Are there good examples of open source products like this where you think that there's an ability, and when you say you're speculating, where they would charge just for the model itself? Does this give them some kind of entree into the enterprise? I mean, what are we talking about here long term?
So I actually think it'll be not just a consumer product, but an enterprise product, and it could come in lots of different forms. It remains to be seen. As far as their competitor, we saw their competitor make an announcement the other day. The only one of note, although it's not very large but significant in the news, is China's DeepSeek. And the beauty of that model was they were able to create a competition and spending just 2 months developing it and only $5.6 million. So I think that Meta's doing the right thing.
Right.
They are spending heavily. They not only confirmed their CapEx for next year, they upped it, but they're going to need that AI infrastructure, not necessarily to train models that'll be passed, but actually run this Goliath enterprise.